I'm delighted to be here with Tracey Woodward. Tracey is the CEO and chairman of Aromatherapy Associates and the Refinery. She's on the board of Cosmetic Executive Women, works with the Eve Appeal and also Action for Children. And we're here at Aromatherapy Associates today and it smells absolutely wonderful. So delighted to be here talking with you today about
Thank you very much.
Your inspirations, your journey and your, I think, real palpable joy de vivre around everything that you do. So
thanks, Kate. It's so nice. I love it when people say things like that. That is so inspirational. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure, and it's true. I think it's what you exude. You've worked in the beauty industry and wellness industry for many years. Do you want to perhaps tell me a little bit more about the catalyst to that?
Not being able to read and write, and looking at what options were available to me in life. I always thought that I could be a cross between, Alexis Colby and Crystal Carrington, and they always looked fabulous. And I connected them to women in beauty. I mean, my other ideal job would have been to be an air hostess, but when you can't read and write and you barely speak English, let alone another language, that was never going to happen in the late 70s, early 80s from a dream perspective. So I figured that I would be a girl in beauty, and that's what I did. I started my career working on the Clinique counter in Debenhams of Croydon.
And here we are today. Wonderful environment we're in. It smells divine. Obviously,
everywhere.
That isn't
Yes.
coming through on the film, but it does smell absolutely divine. Very uplifting. And Aromatherapy Associates is obviously about oils and feeling good. As an executive coach, I sometimes do exercises around the senses, and how we feel. And do you think perhaps with that sense of smell and the sense of touch, perhaps we don't use as much as we might do in terms of how we feel and how we grow?
Yeah. I think that has been the case for a very long time. I think that we've kind of, especially British, stiff upper lip, don't go there, just don't connect with your emotions. But actually your emotions are everything. I mean, when someone peels an orange on a train, there's this great uplifting smell, and Roger Dove always uses that, and he's a perfume nose. But at Aromatherapy Associates, we're all about the senses, we're all about touch, because it's aromatherapy. So it's not just through fragrance, but it's through connecting as well. And I think the great thing about the senses, the power of touch, the power of listening, smelling, tasting, is that you can be transported instantly back to a positive experience. You can instantly be transported back to a negative experience, but taking yourself on a sensory journey and having that association and uplifting is spiritually rewarding. It has that real, self-care approach as well. Yes. So that I'm going back to that state where I felt better. I mean, we see a lot of our younger consumers buy into our brand because I'm sure that it reminds them of their mum drawing a bath and using Deep Relax or Revive in the morning in the shower, and that's what they assimilate to strength and confidence and getting on with the day.
Yes. And all those wonderful qualities that are so important, alongside our knowledge and our expertise, but actually that ability to be resilient or to drive through something difficult.
And the power of smell is a wonderful thing.
Obviously, the brands that you've worked with, and as CEO of this business, there's all those commercial elements, the operational elements of everything that you do. I think what was interesting, when I was coming here this morning, I was listening to music. And it occurred to me that actually what you do with scent and touch and the beautiful products that you produce probably evoke very similar emotions to that of music, that really can transcend how we're feeling to one of utter joy or perhaps sorrow, and something that actually is so important for us to connect to.
Definitely. I mean, I know that emotionally when I need a bit of a cry, my go-to movie is Atonement. And, if I need uplifting, then, I'm playing a Beyonce track or something and singing along because it's the energy. And actually with our great bath and shower oils, there's de-stress mind, there's deep relax, there's light relax, there's revive, there's brief support, there's equilibrium, there's inner strength. All of these words and messages are how you want to feel. So if you want to feel revived in the morning, that's what you'll do. Yes. And actually, if you want to feel good in the morning, don't you want to just play a great song and dance around the kitchen?
Oh gosh, absolutely.
With your family. If someone's unhappy, that's what you do, right? To lift the spirit. So I think sense of smell and sound are very much connected. We actually did an event with Global Radio, and I was astonished. We had 2 million views of
That's wonderful.
Music connected to scent, so you're very much connected.
Yeah, very evocative. That's brilliant. And you talk very passionately, and you're one of those people that makes very strong connections. I think whether it's privileged position sitting here talking with you, but equally when we see you on film or in the press, I would imagine that what do your people say about you? Because I would imagine you that utterly lives in this organisation.
I think it's interesting. I mean, obviously I don't know what they say about me when I leave the room, but when we're all together, from my perspective, being with a brand that was created by 2 women in 1985, when there weren't many women having the courage to set up businesses and go it alone, and actually aromatherapy was ancient and current, but not that, it wasn't mainstream. And so I think that they took a very brave decision, and what they always had was an emotional connection to everybody that worked in the business. There was a lot of passion there. The brands and the companies that I've always been involved in is all about the culture to me. My people are everything. We are a brand. One of our most used hashtags is self-care is your healthcare. But if internally, but within our industry, is to look after the people that look after the people. So we have to practice what we preach. And I think that more than ever before, to build a company culture and a belief system and ensure that your people are happy. I always say I'm only as good as the worst person that works for me. So to ensure that your people are happy, enjoying what they're doing, aligned with the vision is so important. And so I hope they say good things.
You exude that sort of happiness. And of course, when we have got people around us that are happy, small things and big things, we get so much more from people, don't we? They're so much more productive, more innovative.
We do. Taps and drains. I always say to my kids, stay away from the drains.
Definitely.
Stick with the taps.
Yeah, always. Absolutely. I'm with you on that one.
And energy needs to be created if you want success.
Yes.
Oh, right? God, so you need that.
Absolutely.
You need that.
Power it.
Stream of energy to carry everybody along. And we have to lift each other up together. So that's what we try to do here, and we're putting in more procedures and policy to allow our people to take some time to look after themselves and love what they do.
That's wonderful. That's really good. Your story, your childhood is growing up is well documented. Can you tell me a bit more about, I suppose, you're talking about lifting people up and getting through those hard days, because
Well, I've got a great range of products that helps me do that now, which is fantastic. So, but yes, obviously I've been in the press a lot. I've done radio interviews. I've talked about my life on social media and to the charities that I've worked for in the past, because I want to be a source of inspiration. So I think that shame is an awful thing, and I think that it holds a lot of people back. And so why I talk about my life's journey and the obstacles that I've had to overcome and the vulnerability of that and being so open and frank is the hope that it inspires other people, because nothing ever has to stay the same but you have to do something about it.
Sure.
So I kind of, when, for example, my mum passed away 5 years ago, and when I read a eulogy, which she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, so we spent a lot of time going over this, and she wanted a Hollywood funeral, and we certainly gave that to her. But writing that and going over my emotions for many, many years, at the end of the eulogy, I always said, I always thought that I was everything in spite of my mum. But actually I was everything because of my mum, because she inspired me. She always used to say to me, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. If you think you can, you will, and if you think you can't, you won't. And so I openly talk about not being able to do things because I realise that there isn't just one way to do something right. And I think that, you know, who's to say if I didn't go to school, you know, if I'd learned to read and write at 6 or 7 as everybody else did and not wait until my teenage years, that I would have been any more successful or had a more joyful life. We can't measure ourselves on that, but all I know is that I've come a long way thanks to people lifting me up, supporting me, guiding me, mentoring me, and the fact that I've been able to say, I'd love to learn how to do that, or I don't understand, or can you explain? So I think for me, it is well documented, but I'll keep saying it because there will be somebody out there that thinks I can't, and actually you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, that message you say, that, you know, that there's often hundreds of ways to do things, but sometimes it's just taking the action and doing one of those things.
Small steps.
Yes.
Small steps. I always put on my cosmic shopping list to run a company, to be the big boss, and it was a goal when I had conversation. But you know, if you'd have said to me 30 years ago that's where I'm going to be, I would have said never. But I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to try and learn. And I'm going to aspire to be that person, and I'm going to aspire to, you know, to not be ashamed, because I saw so many people be ashamed of where they come from and who they had been, that they kind of swept a lot of stuff under the carpet. Yeah. And actually bad things happen all the time. We're all faced with challenges. What is the point in staying there? Acknowledge it and move on.
Yeah. Well, it makes us who we are, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And ultimately it's that experience. I think it's someone, it was a lady in business actually, she said to me, she used the analogy of drowning. She said people don't drown by falling into the water, they drown by not getting out again. You know, and it's that whole, you know, things happen, and we just have to find the way out of whatever it is. So
yeah.
Who or what inspires you?
Well, I suppose for me, I draw my inspiration from so many places, especially Dynasty and Dallas. The first interview that I went for, because I wanted to be in the beauty industry, a great lady, Tracey Woodward, who is, you know, like my second mum and friend and mentor and supporter, you know, borrowed me her size 3.5 shoes. I'm a size 6, so any woman that wears tight shoes will know how painful that is. I can't believe that I actually got the job wearing those shoes. So I was that determined. Her, you know, my mum, my sister, my daughter, the great male and female team that I work with here, I draw inspiration from everywhere because I'm still learning and I love to listen. So, you know, I rarely say no to a dinner engagement for an organisation to meet people, to engage and learn, because there's inspiration around you everywhere.
Yes,
and actually,
to look.
The place that you think it's not going to be, it generally turns out to be. So, but I've worked with some amazing women. You know, Hilary Dark, Caroline Neville, who's the president of Cosmetic Executive Women.
Yes.
Lots of buyers. My team here. You know, younger people. You know, inspire me so much because they're going through a lot of, you know, positive and negative change,
sure.
and they have to manage that. So I think that, yeah, it's everywhere.
That's wonderful. But it is, you know, as you say, it absolutely is. But and I think what you do is you choose to see it, and we do have to be open.
Yeah, you've got to be open to it, and that's part of learning, right? Don't think that your learning finishes it, you know, when you finish university or when you leave school. Actually, if you're open to learning all the time, you'll constantly be inspired.
Yes. Absolutely. We're hot on the heels of International Women's Day. What do you think we should be doing more of, sort of collectively and individually, in terms of, I suppose, equality across the piece?
Would I like to see more women on boards? Absolutely, but only if it's right for them to be there. I'd like to see more people with emotional intelligence on boards. You know, I'd like to see more courageous conversations happen.
Yes.
I'd like to see, you know, people with mental health issues and disorders on boards, because we need to be a melting pot if we're going to create change. You know, absolutely. Change comes from conversation and putting it out there. So yes, I want to be equal. Yes, I would consider myself a feminist, but I also feel that let's not just pick on one element. You know, let's look at everything. We have to progress and evolve. And for me, you know, I have the honour to be, friends of Sarah Brown, who's the president of their World Charity. And today, 25 to 30% of the world is uneducated. Which is scary. And people there's still slavery. There's still it goes on and on and on. Abuse of every level. Those things need to be changed. You need an eclectic mix of people to do that, and it's not just male and female, but emotional intelligence, mindful, of all ethnic origin, well-travelled people, and people that have lived great lives. That's what you need on boards, that are going to impart knowledge, inspire, support, and that's what you need in organisations.
Absolutely.
You can't be so narrow-minded.
And for those people, I suppose, perhaps teenagers particularly, that are finishing their education, choosing whether they go on to further education or not, I think the world is, as you say, amazing, positive, wonderful things going on, but a lot of uncertainty and perhaps a lot of difficulty or disillusionment. What do you advise them?
I'm in my 50s now, and I think, I always talk about the time when I used to try and tape the top of the pops and not get the speaking in between, and listen to, and that was my soundtrack to life. I think that we all go through changes, every age group, and actually I think, depression in men has increased, suicide in men has increased, depression in women is increasing now. Is that social media? I don't know, but we all go through transition of change.
Yes.
What we need to help these, and they're going to go for a lot more. They're going to go for a lot more than us because the pace is faster. I certainly feel it in the last five to 6 years, how social media has become a big part of my life. So I think that they need confidence, they need resilience, they need trust. Yes, go off and get your degrees and travel and build your empathy, build your emotional intelligence, because that is what's going to give you the strength and the courage to adapt to change. That's what they need to learn, more than, taking the approach of, I know this because I learned it from a book, as Manuel says on 40 Towers. Yes. It's not just about that. Go out and connect with people and learn resilience, strength, conversation, the ability to ask for help. And that will stand you in good stead.
Yes,
be able to walk into a room and talk to anybody, look people in the eyes when you're talking to them, have that confidence. It's going to be so important. And we're moving further and further away from that. And so we're isolating generations of people. Find your tribe, find where you want to belong, what is meaningful to you. Is it singing in a choir? Is it, removing plastic from the beaches? What is it? But belong to something, because again, we're narrowing their opportunities to communicate and build relationships. I mean, we were talking earlier about Stonehenge and how a community came together to get these massive stones to where they needed to be. We need to build those communities again for people, and they need to be able to belong somewhere. My fear is that young people will become so disillusioned and so isolated that loneliness is going to be so impactful in 10 years' time as type 2 diabetes is today.
Yeah, sure. That's really great advice.
And you wouldn't want both.
No, definitely not. But I think that advice, around the emotional intelligence, around finding people that you subscribe to or aspire to be with or like, but those things you talked about around strength and resilience and courage, they're skills, aren't they? They're tools at the end of the day. It's learning and it's a way of doing something. Yeah,
they can be taught. That's how I overcame challenges in life. Is that I learned to be prescient. I learned to understand when I was safe and when I wasn't. I learned to read people. Maybe that's why I'm quite good at leading people, because I tap into people's emotional intelligence, because it's something that I've had. It's something that I've had to learn and develop, and I think that it's a great skill, and don't underestimate the power of it, because it can make or break your day. The more you're connected to that, the more resilience you'll have, because you won't take everything personally.
No, for sure. and you develop that protection, don't you? You've got a great energy, you give it off, and of course we all feed off that, don't you? And to your point earlier about taps and drains, you know, the more that we can be with those people that lift us up. How do you cultivate that, you know, both for yourself and from the, you know, the people in this business?
So for me, I've always tried to have disciplines that allow me. So one of the things that I do is I linger in bed longer than I should, and I use it as a bit of thinking time.
Excellent.
You know, my husband brings me hot water, honey and lemon, and I just hang around there thinking about my day. I body brush religiously. We have a great body brush. I brush my face. You know, I go for that whole process of using my products, and that is like my meditation, preparing myself for the day.
So that's centeredness as well.
Yeah, centeredness, but finding my strength, looking at the obstacles that, you know, may come my way. I mean, the worst things that happen to you, you never really expect anyway. So,
for sure.
You know, you know, just try and be grounded. So for me, I like to do that. I like to, you know, look after myself. I like to walk in nature. I like to read. I'm so glad that there's so much more conversation now on the gut-mind connection as well. So again, reinforcing the power of emotional intelligence. And at night, I kind of take it all off. You know, I take my makeup off as if I'm removing the day. And so I think that self-care really is the future of healthcare, because we are responsible for our own well-being, and we spend a lot of time.
If you listen and you choose to listen to what's
if you've
going
got
on.
You know, an aching shoulder, or you know, you've got inflammation somewhere, it will be happening for a reason. The more you connect with yourself, the more you know, spend time giving gratitude to the, you know, to the legs that hold you up all day, and just be in that moment with yourself, the more courageous you'll become. Aromatherapy Associates is all about self-care, and it's not indulgent, it's essential. It's essential to, if you want to be the best version of you.
That's fantastic, and that's great advice. Yeah, it's been such an inspiration talking to you, and I think inspiration to so many people, and those things that actually are so critical to us living, you know, the best life we can.
Thanks, Kate. Thank you.
Pleasure.